So previously I spoke about our relationship between language and God, to have faith in God and legitimate reason and all that for the more irreligious we're getting as a society, how it's actually affecting our language in real time. We're getting dumber, we speak with more simplistic words than we used to. It affects our language, it affects our music rather, our entertainment, it affects all these sorts of things. I'm Andrew Levy and this is The American Dream. Today I want to get into the unique power of women, this power women have to actually control society really in a large way, regardless of the oppression and all these things women have been through in the past. I want to make it clear. There has been a lot of abuses over the years, there's been oppression over the years, there's been a lot of stuff going on that makes it seem like men have the power. And there's a lot of truth to it where men do have the power. It depends for what we're specifically referring to. This is not a statement that covers all grounds as a rule. It's not even a general rule. It's a general rule for a more specific thing when it comes to more healthy relationships. So there's a lot of things that's gone on in society over the years and still goes on until today, even with abuses, and that at the end of the day, those relationships that are abusive, this doesn't really hold true for those relationships. This unique power women have only holds true in a household that's a more healthy household, where the relationship between the husband and wife is more healthy, where they're not butting heads so much, where that's when you have the abusive relationships. When they're butting heads, they're grabbing for power from each other in ways that don't work. That's my understanding of what I would say is really going on in abusive relationships. The wife wants things her way, husband wants things his way, and they're just fighting each other to get their way, which is, I would say, immature. That's like children fighting, and that's their marriage now, which could unfortunately have children under it, have to be subjected to this craziness. But that's not what this unique power is referring to. And in those cases, the men, they can oppress women all they want. At the end of the day, this power that I'm talking about will be the deciding factor in the more healthy relationships, and will be the thing to decide overall how our society is going to actually be. I don't think we've had a society that overall, or even half of our relationships in our society were abusive. Maybe that's the case now, but I think historically speaking, it's probably safe to say that that wasn't the case, that most relationships were abusive. There was definitely a lot of abuse going on, but mostly when women have accepted things in our society, it's controlled things in our society. That's very important to understand for the power of women, that when women accepted to dress more immodest and show off their bodies more, that's when it became accepted to do so. If our society, let's say, imagine our society today, women dressed more modest. Generally speaking, they all dressed, or most of them dressed more modest. They wore long skirts, they covered themselves up, and guys were to come out and say, show off your body more. Maybe wear some tighter clothes, maybe wear some shorter clothes. Let's see some more skin. They would be slapped in the face, defended by the women's husbands, whoever has husbands, and they would basically be probably charged with harassment or whatever it is. It would be crazy. However, when women decide this is okay to do, and we want to show off our bodies and do all these things, they have now controlled this in our society to become a norm. That now women can really just walk around showing off their body, wearing whatever they want, how they want, and this is fine. That's a power women have. Men do not have the power for women to actually, for society rather, to accept this. For everyone to accept it. The women have the power to have the defense from men for these things. Because this is how the relationship works when they're butting heads in the relationship that I was talking about before. What's really happening is their relationship is dysfunctional because a relationship is supposed to function a certain way. The way a relationship is supposed to function is the women hold the values and the men hold the enforcement of the values. And when they don't agree with those values, and they don't respect each other with those values to force, or rather enforce, they're just going to butt heads with each other, and the man is going to try enforcing his power to the woman of what he wants, and the woman's going to try, with really not much ability to enforce power, to do that to the man, and then potentially leave the relationship, which is probably what's happening more times than not in today's society. Because they're butting heads and they're not agreeing with the values. Because they're not agreeing with the values, this power women have, regardless, as a society overall, it's not going to work for the home, but it still does work as a society overall. What we have is the home, and how our homes are is what our society becomes. So when you have more homes than not deciding what's moral, what's immoral. When you have more homes saying that it's okay to have abortions and not, you could hook up outside of marriage and not. When the women are all okay with these things more than not, that's when the society actually becomes more okay with it than not. I don't actually believe that if men come out and say we want all these things and women are all opposed to it, that could actually work. But I do believe if the women were all to come out and say we all want these things, the men would enforce it, and they would find themselves to agree with it. Why? Because men actually want women. So because they want women, they're going to find ways. Just, it could be conscious, it could be subconscious, but there's something in society, in our nature in general, that's going to enforce this regardless. I don't think there's a way around this. I think that this is how our society functions. So we need to understand our homes better and our families better and what's going on to understand our society better. And if you look at all the craziness going on in our society, and you look at the homes and how insane our homes are, that's demonstrative of this power that women are having, how they've been accepting so many things that go against religious values and morality and all these things, that because they've accepted all of it, we now don't have a society that has a moral core. People are more agnostic, more confused, more lost. And the women, I believe the women have the power where if women were to just decide they're going to tell men, no, we're not going to accept this anymore, and we're going to do this and do that, or whatever it is that we're going to accept as a whole from majority of women, that would cause our society to be more certain about whatever it may be. So I believe that if women were to come out and say we're all going to be now more pro-life, you're going to see men becoming more pro-life than not. Where if the shoe was on the other foot, you're going to find, because of the power of women, more men becoming pro-choice, which is what I think has been happening. I think this just makes a lot of sense and is a power women have that men do not have. In the home, in the healthy home as I'm referring to, not the abusive home, if the woman is more immodest, she curses more, she's more loose on morality, the home is likely to have more looseness than not. But if she's more religious and the man is more loose, more lenient with religious, the home's likely to be more religious for the woman. And I've seen this time and time again over the years. I've seen many homes where the woman is more religious and the father's more irreligious, but the children and how they're being raised and the respect in the home is provided for because of the woman. And the other way around, you can see it the other way around. The father will be more religious and all that stuff, but the children, and they're going to be, and they don't know why, but the children come out more irreligious than the father. Why? Because of the mother. It's a power the women have. At the end of the day, there's a lot of cases where they make their own way. The children, they come out doing their own thing. They become more irreligious or more religious on their own journey, in their own path, when they're out of the home. The home itself has a level of morality, of religiousness, and all that stuff that I believe in the healthy home, not the abusive home, is dictated by the woman solely more than the man. So next I want to get into really the good, explaining what I think, my understanding of what it is to be good, how it's really hard, how to be good, why it's hard, what it's all about. And I think if you're under this idea that being good is easy, you may just not understand what it is to be good, and you're really just treating being good as something you like and want, not really what it is in and of itself, and what's really hard about it. And we've been fooled in our society to be thinking that you just do this, you just do that, and all these things, don't do unto others, we don't want unto you, or whatever it is. It's a very hard thing, and I think it's important we actually get into this and understand why and what it is that's really so hard about being good. That's all I got for that. All the best, and thanks for watching.